All right, Heavy Radio episode 6. We are back. This is Eric here with Marco.
Heavy Radio
How you doing?
6.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are back at it again with another week of heavy metal news and some music picks. How you been doing, sir? How's another week on this earth treated you?
Oh, busy, and busy, but can't complain,
The
doing
triple,
well. I am
the
alive.
triple, the triple busy Lindy, as they say. And it's
Yes,
good to be alive, so
I'm
that we can listen to more
alive,
metal.
as
I'm
Halloween
alive.
says.
Yeah, true. That's what the song was about.
And
Um,
actually, this is August 2nd. I
yeah,
have a
jeez.
happy birthday to wish to Wishbone Ash member Ted Turner, not Ted Turner of the WCW Thunder Media Mogul Well Laid newscast fame, but Ted Turner from a much cooler Ted Turner from Wishbone Ash. He was born August 2nd in 1950.
That's rad. Well, happy birthday, sir. And as a tangent to Ted Turner, this is a true fact. Space Ghost Coast to Coast is now on HBO Max, and I watched an episode with the Hulkster Hulk Hogan from 1995, and Hulk Hogan started out the interview by saying, "Who do you think's the cooler guy or something like that in the Turner Empire? Is it Space Ghost or the Hulkster?" Something to that effect. So, and Ted Turner news.
I
Um,
think I have to go with Space Ghost. Is that a
yeah.
is Space Ghost? That's still a thing of the past, right? That hasn't had a comeback.
Oh yeah. It is not. This is from like '95. They have the old episodes on
I
HBO now,
see.
and I
I
was
see.
laughing at it. It's insanity, and I can't believe it was ever on the air, but it was. And we turned out. Now we turned out like this, watching those
Perfectly
cartoons.
fine. Perfectly
Perfectly
fine.
fine.
Well-adjusted adults that watched Space Ghost when they were children.
And Conan O'Brien, and now we're fine.
Yes.
Um,
That was where I
well,
got my news from.
yeah, yeah. You want to know the
That
news?
and Norm Macdonald fake news.
Yeah, I wish that I could get all news from Conan O'Brien, Norm Macdonald. I think I would
I
approach
I
life
think
better,
the
happier.
world would be a better place.
Bring back Norm Macdonald news updates.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of news, we have some news to cover, and we'll go into it. Let's see. My first news story is about a band called, I believe it's pronounced Arsemis or Arsamis. I'm not sure exactly, and I apologize the pronunciation if I'm incorrect. But they are an Iranian heavy metal band, and some bummer news. They actually are have members of the band have been arrested in Iran for playing. Let's see what it says. Playing quote satanic metal,
Hmm.
which is against the Islamic government. So they're charged with 15 years in jail. I guess they've been playing since 2002. The band's been together, playing um, in neighboring countries of Turkey, Dubai, Armenia. Um, that just straight up death metal band from what I've seen. I had not heard of them before, but it's a pretty crazy story.
It's interesting that it's only taken Iranian leadership like 40 years to catch up with Tipper Gore.
Yep. So they're a little bit behind, but they're here being terrified of the satanic heavy metal music that I'm sure none of our listeners at home partake in.
Yeah, that's
Um,
especially fucked up, but I guess you have that in tyrannical regimes. What the
yep.
fuck?
We could do a whole
Yeah, I
separate
think there should
podcast
be
on the
some
politics of
sort of
this, but it's just
worldwide
fucking crazy.
worldwide uh, effort to free those people. I think maybe we can lead
Yeah.
the charge.
Come over here, man. Bring the death metal over here.
Um, on a much less important and urgent note,
Yes.
but nevertheless, still remarkable. 25-year tenure in WWE, the King of Kings, the cerebral assassin Triple H. He has won 14 world championships, engaged in countless five-star classics, and led unforgettable groups such as D-Generation X and Evolution to enormous success. He entered the squared circle to most of these, to Motorhead. So he's got, the collaboration between Motorhead and Triple H made great songs like The Game, King of Kings, and Line in the Sand. So I guess he's kind of got this new run of merchandise that is a
Oh
collaboration
shit.
with Motorhead. And there's a limited
Uh
edition
oh.
vinyl album, Motorhead's Evolution of the Game. It's got hooded
Uh oh.
sweatshirts, t-shirts. It's in celebration of Triple H's birthday.
Oh shit. My debit card is scared right
It's
now. My
about to
debit
take
card is
a
shook.
it's about to take a pedigree.
Oh man, that's awesome. I'm excited to go check those out. Hell yeah.
Uh,
Let's see. My next story is some little music business news. So basically, long story short, the Spotify CEO um, was in an interview recently and basically defending the cuts that artists are getting from Spotify. So the this comes from Metal Injection. They did a little bit of math, and for a band to make over the poverty line in America, which is $12,000 annually, they would need something around 3 million downloads, um, I believe, a year. So basically, he's pushing back, saying his whole thesis is that bands should move away from doing the model of we release an album every 3 or 4 years, and that they need to release recordings uh, more routinely throughout the year or every year, and that to create more engagement. So a lot of angles here in this story, but it's
yeah.
interesting that he has this take on it.
What was that figure again?
Let's see, it was, let me see,
How
to
much
earn
a
just above,
year?
yeah, to earn just above the poverty line, which is $12,000, an artist would need 3 million streams.
Twelve
Not for,
thousand dollars a year, 3 million. Who? I mean,
that doesn't factor in the
poverty
label or
line.
the
Where?
management.
What? So if you are a homeless musician, maybe you could
Yep.
you could feed yourself off that much money and pay
Yeah,
fines and shit. Yeah, that's
maybe. I don't
weird.
know about that 12,000, maybe.
Yeah,
But it
I
says
don't.
this doesn't factor in the label or the management, which are going to take out like what 20% or more. So
Yeah, as much as I love the product, I think there's got to be a lot of tweaking if they want to keep the music industry, going in a healthy manner as far as like new artists and meaningful content. I really think that if Spotify doesn't adjust that, it's gonna just be something else that's a relic of the past before too long.
and I will give him, I do think the industry is changing in a way that you do need to be more frequent with, have a more constant connection with your artists. And I do agree with that part of it, but he's just coming at it all wrong. But it is interesting. So, yeah, it's a continued discussion that will,
Yeah,
I'm sure, continue.
Spotify is worth 25 billion, and I mean, to me, I guess who is this guy? Martin Lawrenson. He's what? Let's see. So it just seems like to me that um, you know, an entrepreneur in the music business, you could kind of lead by example and actually pay artists better. Is just what it seems
Mhm.
like to me. Uh, to put it
Also,
most simply.
his attitude with artists need to, he basically said something like artists need to work harder and make more music more frequently. It's just like, oh yeah, I'll just pull number one hit songs out every 6 months. Why didn't I think of that? So as a non-artist, telling artists how to write was kind of it's like, okay, but it's an ongoing
Yeah,
debate. But it's definitely interesting that the debate goes on and the beat goes on.
yeah, indeed. My next news story is this little. update I got here from apparently the band Guns N' Roses. It says, "Hey Gunners, our 2020 North American tour dates are being rescheduled to summer 2021." So it looks like a full run of tour dates across North America. So rest assured, as long as as long as we got this thing a little bit figured out by 2021, you will have a Guns N' Roses show that you can go see. And I remember years ago trying to think about, if a classic band were to reunite, who would be able to put on the best show? And the
Mm.
three that kept coming up for me, or four, were GNR, the Misfits, Skid Row, and Manowar and/or the Dictators. And now, a number of those have come back, GNR and the Misfits. I thought it was pretty much
Hmm.
inevitable, but I kind of wish Skid Row would do it with Bach, because I feel like that's another band that, a lot of bands reunite and it's just not the same, or somebody just can't cut the mustard. But I feel like those bands is kind of like everybody can still fire on all cylinders, at least to a level that the fans can appreciate.
Yeah, Skid Row is always a bummer for me. I was actually listening to um, Skid Row last night. I was listening to the song "Beggar's Day" off the second record, and God damn it, that whole album rips. So yeah, it's a real bummer that we can't see them because they're all, knock on wood, everybody's healthy and out there doing their thing. So it's like, yeah, it's a real bummer that they can't all be together because I would be super stoked to see a Skid Row reunion.
And my last bit of news is more of like a bit of history, and it just kind of puts some perspective on live music. So August 1st, 1969, the Atlantic City Pop Festival took place. It brought out about 110,000 people to see performances from CCR, Janis Joplin, and Iron Butterfly, who many call, one of the proto metal bands. And Inagata DeVito was kind of pushing it to be that, blurring that line between rock and metal. And it was at the first festival of its kind in the area. So it's kind of like, I don't know, if we think about it, it's still a relatively new thing to put on these kind of events. And hopefully we can come back, maybe in a better way, a way that's more environmentally friendly, more energy efficient, leaves less trash. And so I still tend to lean optimistic towards, um, I think festivals will come back. And I think maybe when, if we can end like the war on drugs and people do things that are actually safer recreationally than drinking, that could help too. So I think we're on that line where if enough people stay positive, we might be able to see some cool concerts of this level again.
Oh hell yeah! Even when it gets, excuse me, sorry. Even like when the news gets really dark with the concerts and things, and the dates get pushed further back. I always end on a positive thought because I always know that yeah, there's no way music you can't kill rock and roll. That's the religion. Like you can't stop heavy metal, you can't stop rock and roll, you can't stop music fans. Like we're all gonna do it for the love of it, even if we fucking have to. There's no way shows aren't coming back, and everyone's gonna be excited. And I think we'll all be that much more appreciative and how special it is for all of us to get together to enjoy music together of all genres, not
Yeah,
just metal.
and I
So I
also
think everyone's gonna be really excited to be back together.
I think trends change and things like that, but there's always going to be that, from the musician's hands to the speaker, things change. But that whole concept, and then that, and bands feeding off each other, interacting with each other, band and audience feeding off each other and interacting with each other, there's just nothing like that. And it can exist on so many ways. Like, um, yeah, there's just so many interesting ways to try to bring it back, or to try new things, that I think I think hopefully is sort of like a renaissance of all kinds of music. And I don't know. I was watching that Metallica with the Symphony Part Two,
Mm-hmm.
and I still think that's really cool what they did, and it
Oh yeah.
almost sounds like it just picked up right where that first album left off. To me, it just sounds like its own
Did
sound.
you get to hear all of it? I only got
I've
to see
heard
a couple
two
songs.
song two songs that are out now.
The little EP, yeah. Hell yeah. No, I think there's never. I mean, I love technology. I love the latest and greatest, but there's nothing like actually being there playing music in front of people who are there just to see music, and everybody's sharing that moment, and they're not thinking about work or bills or anything else, and it's just you're there to hear music and have fun, and the band wants to play the music and have fun, and everybody's just vibing, and that's something that you can't recreate uh, anywhere. Obviously, this
Yeah,
music thing's been going on for quite a while.
I also yeah, there's a lot of room in the heavy radio spectrum for really old ancient instruments and for new instruments that people are creating. And like Voivod, I think just played at a jazz festival um, in their recent years. So I mean, it's like
Mm,
there's a lot of room for heavy music to continue to be original and to expand. So that's I guess that's what heavy radio will keep playing. Will keep pushing the envelope.
know it. We're here to rock. Speaking of concerts, right now we're still stuck in 2020, but there's still ways to keep rocking and tied to your AC or excuse me, gave it away. Tied to your Guns N' Roses story. There's an ACDC concert, the last one they did with Axel a few years ago, from 2016, so almost 4 years ago. It's the last concert they did with Axel, which I think almost all of us were like big question mark when he was joining, but then he really kicked ass doing those shows with ACDC. So if you, I've never got to see a full concert, so I'm gonna watch this myself. But it's a cool way to still get to see some, some really special music out there, while we prepare to see each other out there again in the real world. So in the meantime, definitely check out this concert if you're an ACDC or Guns N' Roses fan, or
Yeah,
if you don't know if you are yet. This is a great way to see some or excuse me, ACDC music.
I mean, I guess I've always liked Axl Rose, even when he was being a diva and whatever. But just I don't. No matter who you are, if you can come out and front ACDC and sing Bon Scott and Brian Johnson songs, I mean that's impressive.
Yeah, no, I love Axel's probably he's in my top five front people. Period. Can't get around it. Well, my friend, looks like. Did you have any other news stories? I was going to roll
No,
into
I
our
think it's time to
sponsor.
get into yeah. You got to pay the bills. Pay them
Gotta
bills.
pay those bills.
Money, money,
Let's see here.
cash, cash, dollar, dollar.
Okay, so today's product. Today we are sponsored by Demons Into the Nightmare Pillows. The band Demon knows a thing or two about nightmares. Since writing their hit song Into the Nightmare, for the last 40 years, Demon has wanted to find a way to bring nightmares to the world. The time has come, and today you can buy your own Demon Into the Nightmare pillow, the first and only pillow guaranteed to bring you nightmares. Each pillow is coated in a patented special chemical polymer. When you sleep, these chemicals drift into your body to induce heart pounding, cold sweat, screaming in the dark nightmares. You may even meet a real demon. So get your Demon Into the Nightmare pillow today.
Yeah, that's a hot. It's gonna
Real
be a hot item, hot
advertisements.
commodity. I was thought
I wonder if you can smell the chemicals.
when I heard demon, I always imagined like if John Fogerty like listened to a lot of Black Sabbath, he would probably make a Night of the Demon.
That sounds like a boggy ass combo. What if Tony Iommi hung out with John Fogerty and they just tried to write the boggiest, heaviest shit they could,
That'd be
like talking like early '70s Iommi
I'd
and
buy that
Fogerty
for a
together.
dollar.
It'd be pounding on roofs in no time. Um, well, shit. So this would be the time of the show. We might as well roll into our music picks this
Heavy
week.
Radio 666 playlist. What do you got? How are you going to fire this bad dad off?
All right. Well, for those of you out there who have maybe not heard before, this is the part where we do 3 old songs and 2 new songs and add them to our playlist. So, as Marco introed me there, I am going to jump into my first of my older tracks. So first off, I have Iron Maiden, "Die with Your Boots On."
Mm.
It's from
If
their
you're gonna
fourth
die,
record, "Peace of Mind." Is a kick-ass track. I actually, what made me think of it was jumped on Facebook for the first time in a while, and it does the little memory reminders. And for some reason, 10 years ago, I decided to say "Die with Your Boots On" as a reference to Iron Maiden. But that was 2010. That was a bygone era when it was mostly people my age on there still,
yeah.
and didn't have political ads. But anyway, so "Die with Your Boots On" by Iron Maiden still kicks a lot of ass. Still has a ton of attitude and swagger to it, even to this day.
That's a funny thing. I was looking through mine and I did see like it was an Iron Maiden concert that I attended, and I think I was mainly just making like exclamations to like a few college friends, and that was social media at that time. I would just put a random
Hmm.
like yeah, like you did, a random song lyric and or like going to
Yeah, it's
see
all our
Iron
age.
Maiden, and that was what I
Yeah.
that was all social media was for me anyway. So I do kind of those times do make me wistful. They make me wistful,
Wistful.
make me ornery,
Yeah.
real
And
ornery.
back when it was just, and back when Facebook was just college kids, that was a whole nother world.
It was.
We'll digress there for legal reasons.
Don't get zooked.
Um, yeah.
The
What's your
My
old
first
school pick?
track is Run with the Wolf, and this is from Rainbow, from a album known as Rainbow Rising, featuring amazing cover art from Ken Kelly. Uh, Eric and I actually we met Ken Kelly right at this video game
Oh
festival that
shit!
we played
Yes, you're
at,
right. We did.
and that was rad. But yeah,
That was a surprise.
this fist coming out of the mountains holding a rainbow, fucking amazing. And also it was it was when Dio and Richie Blackmore recruited Cozy Powell and Jimmy Bain and keyboard player Tony Carey, so that's not a lineup to scoff at. It was recorded in
No,
Munich in less than a month, and it was overseen by rock producer and engineer Martin Birch. So there's your Iron Maiden connection. He got known by pretty much forging heavy metal. Worked with Deep Purple, Rainbow, Black Sabbath, Iron Maiden, Blue Oyster Cult, you name it. Martin Birch, incredible producer and engineer, and goddamn had a 8 minute and 26-second song called Stargazer. But I went with Run with the
hmm
Wolf. Just an amazing, groovy song. It's one of the shorter songs on the album, but it's a ripper. And I mean, you got a great drum line laid down there by Cozy fucking Powell, and Richie Blackmore on guitar, Jimmy Bain on bass, Ronnie James Dio on vocals. I don't think you can really come up with a better group of lads if you just want to rock.
no, I completely agree. And such a good live band too. Like I'm not big on extended jams at live shows myself too much, but when those cats did it of that caliber, like you just get lost. Even that record itself, yeah, like when you're talking about the time lengths, it's one of those records you just like you put on the first track, you're like, oh, I'm just gonna listen to a song or two, and then you have to listen to the entire fucking album, or it's not. You just get lost in that record.
And apparently, Rob
Kick ass shit.
Halford and Snowy Shaw both agree with our assessment. They have called this a masterpiece and a milestone. Both of them kind of had that to say about this record. So it's like, the who's who of heavy metal history agree that this was Blackmore and Dio at the peak of creative powers.
I always thought it was cool to think about that to get pumped up before a show. Rob Halford, the metal god himself, listens to Dio to get amped up before he sings on stage. So
Yeah,
if you're a metal god yourself, what do you listen to get amped? And he listens to Dio, and that's what gets him in the zone so he can go out and do his metal god thing.
one of the most surreal spots I've been in to date in my time here was I was at a Danzig and Superjoint Ritual concert, and Holy Diver was playing over the PA. On one side, I look and there is Philip Anselmo. The other side is Glenn Danzig, and all of us are rocking out to Holy Diver. And I that was that was surreal, really.
That's rad. Were they on the side of the stage, or were they just hanging out on the
I
floor?
just through playing music in the region, I got to be like in a kind of off the path area, and they were just kind of like getting ready. I think Superjoint was getting ready to go on, and Danzig just came out to say what up to Phil.
That's dope. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
you
either that
can't
was either
deny
a weird
Holy
fever
Diver,
dream
man.
and I was like dying, or
Oh, I
that
believe
really
you.
happened. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, you have some stories that I'm surprised. It's like, say what? But I believe that this happened. Um, and yeah, you can't deny Holy Diver. And actually, just randomly, for those of you listening at home, we don't discuss what we're gonna pick on these tracks, so it's funny when we have overlap. But my next track is Black Sabbath with Dio. This is from the Dehumanizer record. The song is called TV Crimes.
Hmm.
It's very hard for me to pick which song I wanted to pick off this record, but I knew I wanted something off this record on the our podcast playlist, so I picked TV Crimes. The song doesn't lit up. It's just like 3 minutes or so of just going, and it's got such great dynamics, and the lyrics are
Yeah,
awesome, and
Dio
everybody's at the top of their
Dio
game.
would have been thrown in an Iranian prison for this song. It's
Yep,
that heavy.
would
It's
have been
that
ready,
evil.
but you can't contain the Dio.
No,
You can't catch the fucking rainbow.
no.
But yeah, this I remember getting this. I remember getting this album on cassette tape from a half price books, and you and I were driving around listening to this on cassette. And even though it was on cassette and it was a little warbly because the cassette had seen 20 years of rocking or something at that point, um, groundbreaking. Another like tentpole in my
Actually,
metal life.
yeah, you can't. Another thing you can't make up. The other week, I was driving to work and I was listening to the Rainbow record in question. And when I just kind of felt, it was just like everybody's feeling it. It was kind of one of those I'm really feeling it moments. It's like it's tough out there, even for a normal person. And but then I look up and there's this rainbow, and it has another rainbow over it, and it was really cool. It was like really thick and
Double rainbow.
vibrant, and I was like, "Wow, that's cool."
You saw the rainbow, dog. You crossed the rainbow bridge.
I tasted it.
God, I love fucking Dio. Um,
Now Skittles can send
what
us
is your?
money too to help pay the bills.
I love Skittles and Dio. Send me all your Dio T-shirts and cool tropical flavors of Skittles because I think, as much as I love the classic Skittles, tropical was something I'd go to if I wanted to feel a little. If I was feeling a little crazy that day and it was summertime, then
The
I'd go to tropical.
controversial yogurt Skittles are nasty, I think.
I haven't tried that. I haven't
I don't
wanted to try
understand it.
those.
That is,
Tropical
didn't need to
Mambas. What
happen.
about tropical Mambas?
They get a thumbs up.
I saw them.
I'll give that a thumbs up.
I saw
Um,
those at a 7-Eleven yesterday.
just in case you didn't know, Heavy Radio is now going to be a podcast about candy. No, just kidding.
The Candy
Just kidding.
Cast.
So we're
Heavy metal
ready for my
candy.
next track, right? My next track
Yes, sir.
is Thin Lizzy with "Got to Give It Up." That stuff. And this is from an album
Indeed.
called Black Rose, and it was released the 13th of April, 1979. They recorded this in Paris, and it was the first time that blues rock guitarist Gary Moore remained in Thin Lizzy long enough to record an album with the band, and quite the album it is.
It shows.
Yeah,
Yeah, what a record, man. That whole thing front to back is just amazing, and Got to Give It Up is definitely one of the standouts of an album of standouts.
yeah, I would
It
say it's
just
on a league with anything, any rock and roll that is fine. This is gives it a run for its money, and got to
and
give
the
it up.
live version,
Got to give it
goddamn.
up really shows just kind of. It's just like the peak, like taking it to a new plateau of the dual guitar and just I love this song in kind of in the same way that I love that ACDC song "Carry Me Home." Like it's the vocal, it's Phil in the throes of it. He's feeling it. He knows he's got
Yes,
to give it up,
autobiographical
and
for sure.
he sounds like rough but great, and it's just amazing. Like I definitely in my personal life believe in like meeting people where they're at with addictions and stuff, and I think we could help a lot more people with that mindset. So it's not like there's some sort of melancholy thing to it of like he's struggling and he's letting you know, but at the same time it's kind of like I don't know, it's just inspiring and amazing and heavy. I think a great fit for heavy radio.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of emotion behind that song, and I mean that's part of why it makes it intense is because it's being honest and autobiographical. And yes, I also agree. If it's always good to listen um, for anyone who needs help versus telling people. So it's yeah, at the time it was just definitely groundbreaking too to have that forward thinking perspective. But yeah, amazing song, and the live version kicks so much goddamn ass. And his bass tone. Can we just talk about his bass tone alone?
Yeah,
That'll just change your life.
and that he did
Um,
that while exuding the vocal tone that he had. That's pretty
yeah.
much unlike anyone who's ever picked up a microphone. It's still one of my favorite musicians to pick it up. So
Also, Huey Lewis was in the band for a little bit and played harmonica.
yeah,
So
I mean
just throw that out there. I think
there's also
Live and
that.
Dangerous is also that. My last old school track is by a band called Angel Witch,
Angel
and
Witch.
the song is called White Witch from their first album, Angel Witch. Another just banger front to back. That first Angel Witch record, White Witch, just gets me amped up. The chorus is so good, and the vocals and the band's just like there's so much just straight up energy in that album. Like it just just start feeling it. Like I don't know the magic of how they recorded it, or if everybody was just on 11 when they went to that studio, but it just feels like energetic and live, and just there's no way you can't get amped up.
Yeah, that made me think of that meme, like say something that like tells your age and that like young people would not understand. For me, it's like I
Yeah,
learned about the band Angel
Angel
Witch
Witch.
from hearing a young Dave Mustaine say it on a
Yeah,
beat up
yep.
VHS tape of Cliff 'Em All that I got from a Blockbuster video sale. And people are like, "What the fuck is Blockbuster?"
Yeah, you couldn't just Google, hey, what if I like these bands in this genre, what should I listen to? There was no websites barely dedicated to this shit in 1999. You just had to find it. You just had to pray to God
Pray to
something would
God
tell
you
you what
find
the
that
Evil Dead
shit.
was. Pray to God you see an Evil Dead 2 t-shirt on Cliff Burton and be like, what is that about? And then just rent it from Video Warehouse. How would you know?
Angel
No one was
Witch,
around to be
pray to
like, hey,
God don't drop
hey
that shit.
kid, Hey kid, grab this Angel Witch record. We didn't know. We just had to find it out. Angel Witch. Yeah, I
Angel
know the exact. I can hear it in
Witch.
my head.
Yeah, and that also just made me so, I don't know, just have so much affection for Cliff Burton, which I guess his Ray Burton was just honored at a San Francisco Giants game the other night, and they kind of just, had him stand up, and the crowd went wild. Just seems like an awesome dude, so that's cool. But yeah, Angel Witch, great band, great track. My next track is Anthrax with "Keep It in the Family" from the record "Persistence of Time," and
Timely. That's a timely song.
great song. I think I was in middle school when I used this song for. You kind of had to. It was like a literature class, and we just had to pick a song that had a kind of a poignant literary message, and I thought this was a good one. And yeah, the I think the consensus is it kind of rivals some of the best Anthrax songs. It's just got a really heavy, laid back riff that I love and gets
Oh,
me
it's a heavy
amped.
riff.
And
Oh, it's a heavy one.
yeah, I you still have John and Marcia Zazula, executive producers and management, and Mark Dodson, the producer. And then you got, Joey Belladonna, Dan Spitz, Scotty and Frank Bello, and Charlie Benante. Classic Anthrax playing this heavy ass song, Keep It in the Family. And
Yeah, it's one of those riffs that makes you make that ugly face. You know, when you hear the nasty riffs, and it just makes you make like that face, like the face. Like that's what that riff does to me. Like I can't
mm,
not make that face when I hear that riff. It's so heavy, and then the lyrics, even aside, the lyrics are extremely intense and still relevant.
yeah, I think
Sadly,
sadly
20 years later,
relevant.
30
Yeah.
years
And
later, 30 years.
I like bands that don't shy away from the social tone of lyrics and just this, he talks about societal ills. And so it's not exactly an
Hmm.
uplifting song, but it's real. It's exhilarating. It is like,
And that's what
it makes
good
you,
music does.
yeah, it makes you want to tear down the oppressors.
Yeah, I think metal, punk, hip hop. I think these are the kind of genres that put stuff straight in your fucking face, if you like it or not. And so that's what this song does.
Hell yeah.
And it kicks a lot of ass along the way.
Heavy Radio
Um,
6 old school tracks added to the
in the
playlist.
books.
Check it out at the YouTube, Spotify, you name it, everywhere you can find the podcast. We're just keeping trying to get it more out there. So just keep on cranking it and let us know, your old school picks that you like. So
Hell yeah. Um, let's see. We new songs, new tracks. My first new track is a band called Once Awake, and the song is called Fold. And I think it's the first song off of their little, or not little, they have like a 4 or 5 song EP.
oh, nice little EP.
And I think it looks like a nice little EP.
It's that
So
Beyond
it's
section.
heavy as shit. It's heavy as shit, and the full album I'm sure is coming soon. But this one reminded me kind of, it gave me vibes of like old school In Flames, like maybe that, well, maybe middle area, like the late '90s, like right before like Horacle Clayman area, maybe, but a little more organic sounding, if that makes any sense. A little more haunting, but it's definitely got the melodic characteristics of classic In Flames. That's what I got from it. Maybe just melodic death metal in general, I could say. I could move away from In Flames, but
Right?
I was really surprised because a lot of these a lot of new bands. When I'm scanning through new stuff that's coming out, like the death metal stuff can sometimes blend together for me, but this just snapped out right away. So definitely go check out Once Awake's new EP.
Rad. That sounds heavy radio esque. And my new track for this episode, Crank It Loud. It is Wino with Forever Gone, and Scott Weinrich, affectionately known as Wino. You may know him from his first band, Warhorse, best known for fronting The Obsessed and Saint Vitus. He's been a solo artist more often than not since 2009, but he kind of helped codify doom metal as the trademark sound we know of as doom metal. And he's also considered influential in stoner rock and punk genres. But Wino, this album so far, I'm really digging it, and this song specifically, "Forever Gone." It starts off the album. It's fucking badass, and Wino is one of those dudes that was there with Ross the Boss Friedman at the start of this kind of heavy metal thing. Like he was inspired by Iggy Pop and the Stooges, the Dictators, inspired by Black Sabbath, and the rest is history. Um, and The Obsessed had a track on that Metal Blade Records Metal Massacre 6, and um, so yeah, lots of history to dig in through there with The Obsessed and Saint Vitus. Lots of heavy tracks, um, lots of
Hmm.
cool, rubbed elbows with a lot of cool people like Henry Rollins and Pepper Keenan, and we actually had a brush with him when he was with ex Pentagram guitarist Victor Griffin in Place of Skulls. That was at Harry Mary's here in Des Moines, Iowa, and yeah, so
The
he
Wayback
did
Machine.
vocals and guitars on the Emerald Law from that Dave Grohl project Probot, and he also played guitar in Shake Your Blood, which has been a much cranked track by us and a featured track on Heavy Radio. So yeah, he's been up there with rubbed elbows with the Giants, and just this is just a great song. I definitely check it out and crank it. It is Wino with Forever Gone.
Hells yeah. Let's see. My other new track is a band called the Stonecutters, and the song is called "The Absurdist." Um, Trying to think how to describe this. It definitely sounds of the modern, like the modern variety, like of production, and I don't want to say full on like gent style, but it's definitely got that tone, the very modern production tone to it. Um, but then like the sensibilities, the melodies, the song construction is very like yeah, just like traditional old school metal, but it's got like a real modern production style, kind of like the trying to think, not as genty as like Animals as Leaders, but in that vibe of like the real drop tight guitars, the real mechanical sounding. Um, but then the songwriting is straight up like more old school. So I was definitely caught my attention because of just having that juxtaposition. So um, yeah, Stonecutters, go check them out. I don't know too much more about these cats other than the track stood out to me, and I wanted to kind of follow them and see what else they got up their sleeve.
Yeah, um, Gent is that's an example of omniantopia or whatever, right?
Yeah,
It sounds like the
yeah,
word
yeah. Onomatopoeia.
onomatopoeia. Say that 5 times fast.
Yeah, it's like say that. It's like Meshuggah
A
core.
literary device.
Yeah, I don't know.
Gents. It's like
Yep,
oink or
Meshuggah
meow
basically
or roar or chirp.
wrote the book.
Yes,
It is.
exactly like that. The
Um,
but
I can get into some of it. I definitely dig some bands that are into. I'm always trying to find more cats in that genre that I dig. So when I'm in the mood for it, I definitely jump to it because it's definitely got a vibe.
Genty. Yeah, my
It is.
my next new track is by a band that is not new. They were formed in 1982 in Bristol, England. The band is called Onslaught. British thrash metal band. The song is called "Bow Down to the Clowns," and so they started out kind of a loving hardcore punk, and their peers were like Discharge, and they Exploited. Kind of became a more just straightforward thrash band. They've had some weird little vocalist situations over the years, lots of members, but like Neil Turbin, was one of many bands that had an ill-fated run with Neil Turbin. They had Steve Grimmett from.
I didn't even know
I have a
that.
record with them, at least one, maybe more, where Steve Grimmett from Grim Reaper did the vocals. It was pretty rad. Um, but
Hmm.
yeah, this new record comes out August 7th. It's called Generation Antichrist, and they're wearing some makeup and look kind of funny, but the music so far sounds pretty cool to me. So check that out.
Hell yeah. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know about all the history of different vocalists with them.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride for the old Onslaught.
Well, speaking of wild rides, I had fun today with episode 6 here. Yeah, thank you guys all for listening. Just want to send a shout out to all you cats out there. Been seeing you out there that you guys are listening, and it's super exciting, and we really love your support, and thank you guys wholeheartedly for that and for listening. I think that's awesome. Definitely give us if you want to chat or say hey on social media. Definitely feel free to say hey.
Yes,
And yeah,
we appreciate it.
it's been it's been
Keep spreading the
awesome.
word, and we will hitting record. Heavy Radio 6.